You finally came to me. You're so beautiful. Your skin's so soft. We're gonna be such good friends. I knew you would come to me. You always were waiting. I was waiting for you. You came, and I don't know. Kevin, I'm not doing anything. I'm just making this for her.
I know. She's not feeling well right now, and she needs to rest.
No, but she's my mermaid. I found her.
I know, sweetie. Come on, you two.
Mermaid. So the choice to do black and white in a horror, it automatically puts you sort of in this very sinister, moody, dark tone, just because of how it's visually presented. So you're already there. It gives like an ominous feeling to this. And there's a lot of characters that we're dealing with this. So it's heavy dialogue. There's lots of interpersonal conversations, connections, which also are leading to these conflicts. And they're occurring because these are people wanting very different things. And there's a character, who feels like she's being put in a box in a way. She's not allowed to express herself. And you have another who's presenting himself as controlling, being frustrated with things, and all of these types of like interpersonal conflicts within these character dynamics are really making this great sense of dramatic tension throughout the piece. And I mean, there was just really strong performances throughout the whole film, coming from the actors overall.
The Mermaid. The black and white for this was such a cool choice. And I think that the cinematography, they did it really, really well. I liked what they did with it. They had a lot of the grayscale tones in it, which was great. I just wish that some of the outdoor shots in the evening, it was lit a little bit better because we lost some of that. The storyline was really original. I liked the storyline a lot. I liked how each of the characters, they were very, very specific. And I liked how they told this. They did a great job with that. Filmmakers spent a lot of time working to build the suspense. And in so many areas, they nailed it where they were building the suspense. There were just a few areas where it didn't need to have, it wasn't conducive to building the suspense. It was just, it felt a little bit stagnant in just a couple of areas that could have been tightened. And the music was great. I think the music really lent itself to the emotion, to the mystery, to the creepiness of it. So yeah, nice job.
Mermaid. Wow, this was really interesting. It kept me intrigued through the whole film. I think the pace was purposeful because of the feel of the film. I think it could have been a little bit of a faster pace. I don't mean fast by any means, but it just did feel a little bit slow for me. I love the use of the black and white here. I think it's really key because of what the main character, she's going through what she's going through, and it feels like maybe this is just all in her head with her writing her story and having medication that she's on, and you're not sure who to trust and who not to trust. And the guy with the camcorder, it kind of felt a little Blair Witch. It just kept me guessing, and I thought the sound was great and very little music throughout, which was wonderful because I think the absence of music sometimes can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than having the music. And I really liked the location too. It was remote, and it had that sort of the feel of that remote location where there's a serial killer on the loose, but it wasn't a cabin in the woods. It just felt like it was a house on the lake. And I wasn't really sure at first. I think we're kind of led to believe it's the father when it's not, but I wasn't 100% sure whose son the murderer was, but I feel like it was the dead sister's son. But regardless, I really enjoyed watching this. I do think it could have been a little shorter, but that's really just being picky. I think technically everything was there, the effects, all the pieces to the puzzle, as far as the woman, protecting her family, and that something had happened with the father or the husband. sorry, like I feel like the older woman was maybe the grandfather or the grandmother or the mother of the man, and then he was married to the dark-haired woman who was going through some grief with her loss of her sister, I believe. So it didn't fully matter to me though, because the whole thing was very interesting, and I was trying to put the pieces to the puzzle as it went along and figure out who the person was that was killing people in the area. And it was interesting. And then the mermaid girl, what was her story? And I almost want to see more. I want to see more backstory for her, like a prequel, like what brought her to this, to the water. And it was very interesting. So much so that I really do feel like I wanted more. Now that I'm talking it out, I wanted to see more about each character and how they got here. So maybe a prequel. But I do like it on its own. It was very intriguing. So well done.
I really liked The Mermaid. I thought it was uh intriguing, gripping, uh uh mysterious. Like it was like had me asking questions and kept me interested all the way right up to the credits. So like had me watching like what's gonna happen next? Like where's it going? Where's it going? All the twists and turns. Which I think is a mark of a good I guess you could call it kind of thriller suspense. This was, and that's what the other thing I was gonna say is this is a masterclass in suspense and like intrigue. I think um Alfred Hitchcock would be proud. Um, the other thing I wanted to say was the cinematography and the blocking were the two things that I really wanted to shout out. Like everything, all of it, editing, music, great, writing, great, acting, great. But the cinematography and the choice to go black and white, and then the mixing of um you know regular and then this small aspect ratio with the camera and um the lighting and all of that, how and the mise en scène, how all of that blended together was masterful. Like you could tell these filmmakers definitely were very intentional about every pixel, every frame, and I appreciate that. These people are masters of their craft. It would appear as though they're masters of their craft, at least for cinematography, and then the blocking. Shout out to the directing, the blocking, like you like specifically like was done well, and it was very clearly like intentional to evoke emotion and appreciate the craft that went behind it. Like specifically, example of what I'm talking about is like the camera below, and then the girls looking out the windows, and then bro sitting on the ground looking up at her, and it shows the power dynamic and things like that. That's why I love filmmaking. That craft, it's done well. So great job.